Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's Steve again, and see if I can get this a little straighter. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. It's a little straighter. Maybe I should tip my head a little bit. Anyway, welcome back to the channel, and this is a story. I just read this story, and I can't. It's so parallel to a lot of things happening in American politics these days. Well, it's been happening for some time, but right now it's glaringly obvious. And this story tells the story of the king's new clothes. And for the adults that are listening to this, which probably maybe nobody's listening to it, I don't really know. It's supposed to be a kid's story, but I'm reading it, I'm thinking, man, oh man, does this speak to me about my observations about what's going on in the world of politics today, and has been for some time, in fact. But right now, it's just more glaring than it might otherwise be. But anyway, enjoy. If you listen to this with your kids, you know, you can get the adult perspective, and they can have their kids' perspective as they should, without being involved in politics, which will maybe come later for them in life. But anyway, let's get to the story. I just thought that as I was pre-reading it, it was like, wow, okay? So the parallels you can draw. Anyway, let's get to the story now. Many years ago, there was an emperor who was very fond of new clothes and spent all of his money on them. He did not worry about soldiers. He did not care about the theater. He only went out when he had the chance to show off some new clothes. He had a different suit for every hour of every day. Most kings would be found sitting in council, it was said of the emperor. He is sitting in his wardrobe. One day, two fellows, calling themselves weavers, came to town. They said that they knew how to weave cloth of the most beautiful colors and patterns. The clothes made from this wonderful cloth would be invisible to everyone who was unfit for the job they held, or who was very simple in character. These must indeed be splendid clothes, thought the emperor. If I had such a suit, I might at once find out what men in my kingdom are unfit for their job. I would be able to tell the wise men from the foolish. This stuff must be woven for me immediately. He gave large sums of money to both the weavers in order that they might begin their work. He gave large sums of money to both the weavers in order that they might begin their work at once. I'm sorry for that little bobble. So the two pretend weavers set up two looms. They worked very busily, though in reality they did nothing at all. They asked for the finest silk and the purest gold thread. They put both into their own knapsacks. Then they pretended to work at the empty looms until late at night. I should like to know how the weavers are getting on with my cloth, said the emperor to himself one day. When he remembered that a simpleton, or one unfit for his job, would be unable to see the cloth, he began to worry. To be sure, he thought he was safe. However, he would prefer sending someone else to bring him news about the weavers and their work, just in case he might be embarrassed. Anyway, all the people in the kingdom had heard of the wonderful cloth. All were eager to learn how wise or how foolish their neighbors might be. I will send my faithful old wise man to the weavers, said the emperor at last. He will be the best able to see how the cloth looks. He is a man of sense. No one can be better for this job than he is. So the faithful old wise man went into the hall where the thieves were working with all their might on the empty looms. What can be the meaning of this, thought the old man, opening his eyes very wide. I cannot find the least bit of thread on the looms. However, he did not say his thoughts out loud. The thieves asked him very kindly to be so good as to come nearer their looms. Then they asked him whether the cloth pleased him. They asked whether the colors were not very beautiful. All the time they were pointing at the empty frames. The poor old wise man looked and looked. He could not see anything on the looms, for a very good reason. There was nothing there. What, thought he again, Is it possible that I am a fool? I have never thought that so of myself. No one must know it now if I am so. Can it be that I am unfit for my job? No, the emperor must not know that either. I will never tell that I could not see the stuff. Well, sir, said one of the weavers, still pretending to work, you do not say whether the cloth pleases you. Oh, it's excellent, replied the old wise man, looking at the loom through his spectacles. This pattern and the colors, yes, I will tell the emperor without delay how beautiful I think them. I lost my place. There it is. We shall be much obliged to you, said the thieves. Then they named the many colors and described the patterns of the pretended stuff. The old wise man listened with care to their words so he might repeat them to the emperor. The thieves asked for more silk and gold, saying that it was necessary to complete what they had begun. Once again, they put all that was given them in their knapsacks, ready for a speedy escape. They went on working with as much effort as before at their empty looms. The emperor soon sent another man from his court to see how the weavers were getting on. Now he wanted to know if the cloth would soon be ready. It was just the same with the gentleman as the wise man. First he looked closely at the looms on all sides. He could see nothing at all but the empty frames. Does not the stuff appear as beautiful to you as it did to my lord the wise man? Asked the thieves of the emperor's of the thieves of the emperor's second advisor. I certainly am not stupid, thought the man. It must be that I'm not fit for my good job. That is very odd, however. No one shall know anything about it. And so he praised the stuff he could not see. He declared that he was happy with both colors and patterns. Indeed, your imperial majesty, he said to his emperor when he returned, the cloth which the weavers are preparing is extraordinarily magnificent. The whole city was talking of the splendid cloth which the emperor had ordered to be woven. Finally, the emperor himself wished to see the costly material while it was still in the loom. He took many officers of the court and the 2 honest men who had already admired the cloth. As soon as the weavers saw the emperor's approach, they went on working faster than ever, although they still did not pass even one thread through the looms. Is not the work absolutely magnificent, said the 2 officers of the crown already mentioned. If your majesty will only be pleased to look at it. What a splendid design, what glorious colors, and at the same time they pointed to the empty frames, for they imagined that everyone else would see this exquisite piece of workmanship. How is it, said the emperor to himself, I can see nothing. This is indeed a terrible affair. Am I a simpleton, or am I unfit to be the emperor? That would be the worst thing that could happen. Oh, the cloth is charming. Said he aloud, I approve of it completely. He smiled most graciously and looked closely at the empty looms. No way would he say that he could not see what 2 of his advisors had praised so much. Everyone with the emperor now strained his or her eyes, hoping to discover something on the looms, but they could see no more than the others. Nevertheless, they all exclaimed, oh, how beautiful, and advised His Majesty to have some new clothes made from this splendid material for the parade that he had planned. Magnificent, charming, excellent, was called out on all sides. Everyone was very cheerful. The emperor was pleased. He presented the weavers with the emblem of an order of knighthood. The thieves sat up the whole of the night before the day on which the parade was to be taken place. They had 16 lights burning so that everyone might see how anxious they were to finish the emperor's new suit. They pretended to roll the cloth off the looms. They cut the air with their scissors and sewed with needles without thread in them. See, cried they at last. I got to move this up a little bit. Pardon me. Almost done. The emperor's new clothes are ready. The emperor, with all the grandness of his court, came to the weavers. The thieves raised their arms like they were holding up clothes. The first item was the Majesty's trousers. Here are your trousers, Your Majesty. And here's a scarf. Here's a mantle. The whole suit is as light as a cobweb. One might fancy one as being wearing nothing at all when dressed in it. Yes, indeed, said all the courtiers, although not one of them could see anything of this special cloth. The emperor was undressed for a fitting, and the thieves pretended to array him in his new suit. The emperor turned round from side to side before them, and looking in the looking glass to admire the new suit of clothes. How splendid his Majesty looked in his new clothes, and how well they fit, everyone cried out. What a design! What colors! These are indeed royal robes. I am quite ready, said the emperor. He appeared to be examining his handsome suit. The lords of the bedchamber, who were to carry his Majesty's train, felt about on the ground as if they were lifting up the ends of the mantle. Then they pretended to be carrying something, for they would by no means want to appear foolish or not fit for their jobs. The emperor walked under his high canopy in the midst of the procession, through the streets of the capital. All the people standing by and those at the windows cried out, "Oh, how beautiful are our emperor's new clothes! What a magnificent train there is to the mantle, and how gracefully the scarf hangs." No one would admit these much admired clothes could not be seen, because in doing so, he would have been saying he was either a simpleton or unfit for his job. The emperor has nothing on at all, said a little child. Listen to the voice of the child, exclaimed the father. What the child had said was whispered from one to another, but he has nothing at all on. At last cried out all the people. The emperor was upset, for he knew the people were right. However, he thought the procession must go on now. The lords of the bedchamber took greater pains than ever to appear holding up a train, although in reality there was nothing there to hold up. And the emperor walked on in his underwear. That's the end of the story. So I think for the adults in the room, you can see some parallels, right? We have people trying to convince the populace, and themselves, I suppose, in a lot of ways, that things are a certain way, and the reality of it is right in front of us, and a lot of us don't want to see it. We refuse to see it, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But the reality, that's right there. You know, the king in this story doesn't have any clothes on. There are no clothes. Those people the two thieves that said they were making cloth, got gold and silk that they took off. They're probably long gone by now, right? And you know, that's how you kind of can look at politics. You know, they get in there. I don't know what they do. They leave and they become wealthy. You know, because of being in there. They don't make a lot of money as Congress people, but you know, then they end with their pockets all lined and off to the private sector to make even more money. And so what is it about? Is it about doing the right thing? Is it about the truth? Or is it about other things, such as power and wealth? I don't know. You decide. I got my own opinions on it. I hesitate to get into politics too much because it's so divisive. I don't want to be divisive. I just want to tell a story. You use your own thoughts to come up with your conclusions. And this isn't really meant for adults. But when I was reading it, I was thinking, man, oh man, we got people telling us they got nice clothes on and they ain't wearing nothing, okay? And it's right in front of us, and yet we question what we're seeing with our own eyes. And I guess maybe in some ways that can be a little bit natural, but because of the fear of what? Why don't we acknowledge what we see? Because of the fear of something else that we don't like or don't want anything to do with? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. To me, it's a mystery. And I won't get into it too deep because it's too much. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. And I think it's a great tale, even for kids, to see that, you know, people can be tricked and fooled and cheated, lied to, convinced of pretty much anything. And in the case of this story, the emperor basically was the one that fooled himself into thinking, because he didn't want to look bad, that he had to go down this certain path of the cloth is there, it's beautiful and all that. He had to go down there and say that. He felt that it was real, and he even demonstrated it by walking with only his underwear on down through his kingdom. It took a little child to say, you ain't got nothing on, buddy. You know, and then everybody's whispering through the crowd, yeah, the emperor he's got only his underwear on. And the emperor knew. He knew that right all along. But the pressures of not wanting to look bad in your job, you know, that can be tremendous pressure. And, of course, questioning yourself, you know, am I good enough? Am I, you know, smart enough, strong enough, whatever. I think that's kind of natural. You have to be a little introspective at times, right? So, anyway, I'll quit talking. I could talk forever, as you guys probably well know. And I hope you had a good time. I hope the story was good, and I hope you enjoy your day. And I think I'm going to write some Congress people and say, listen, can you play this when the Congress gets together and the president comes to give a speech or whatever? Can you read this story? Because that's exactly what's going on today in our politics, I think, and has been going on for some time, to be fair. So anyway, you guys have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed the story.